NewsX World. With that, viewers, we shift our focus to the Middle East. Israel has announced that the opening date for the Rafah crossing between Gaza and Egypt will be revealed at a later stage, once both Israeli and Egyptian authorities complete the necessary preparations. The crossing, which will be open exclusively for the movement of people, has been a critical gateway for Gaza's access to the world outside, especially for those seeking to leave the territory. The statement from the COGAT, the Israeli Defense Ministry body overseeing civilian affairs in Palestinian territories, has clarified that humanitarian aid would not pass through Rafah, emphasizing that aid continues to enter Gaza through other crossing points. The Rafah crossing has been a vital route for international aid, with several organizations strong supplies in Egypt awaiting access to Gaza. Meanwhile, the EU has expressed support for reopening Rafah as part of a ceasefire agreement. Its full operation is contingent on the implementation of mechanisms outlined in past peace accords. This is the latest that we are tracking on the broadcast. In the meantime, you can clearly see aid to Gaza is continuing via other crossings, but Rafah crossing, to be very particular, which is one of the largest crossings between Gaza and Egypt, a vital lifeline for the people of Gaza. Its opening date will be revealed at a later stage once both Israeli and Egyptian authorities complete the necessary preparations. The crossing in itself will be open exclusively for the movement of people. It has been up until now a critical gateway for Gaza's access to the outside world, especially for those seeking to leave the territory. With us on the broadcast is Mr. Matti Zweig, geopolitical expert, joining us from Tel Aviv. Thank you so much for taking our time and speaking to us on NewsX World. The statement has been put forward by the IDF stating that once both Israeli and Egyptian authorities reach an understanding, they will reveal the date when the Rafah crossing will open. IDF has also pointed out that the necessary preparations need to be completed. Could you help our viewers understand what exactly these preparations are?
Yes, hello, Asuma. You have to understand that the Israeli and Egyptians, they can have differences, but they have one thing in common. They care about security. And security is not so easy to maintain when you have Hamas still behaving in the way they behave. They are not really ready to move forward with all the agreements. And there are a lot of concerns because when you open, it's right that it's not for humanitarian aid, it's more for medical aid and ambulance maybe, or some people crossing, and the humanitarian aid come from Israel. Anyway, you cannot do things in such a way that is going to put in and endanger some of the parts in both sides. So this is from one side. From the other side, there is also a lot of Israeli concerns because of what is happening in the Gaza Strip. As I said in the beginning, how is Hamas behaving, killing opponents, killing people that don't like them, and trying to maintain a grip on the power that they had and they already don't, because in the second phase, they have to give up their weapons, and they are still not ready to do that, at least most of them. So for all these reasons, they are in combination, of course, people responsible for the opening of the Rafah or Rafah crossing. And I hope that in any moment that they will agree everything, they are going to open, because Israel is fulfilling the agreement, of course.
I also wanted to point out something else that is taking place. Hamas has come out and recently, transferred the remains of 2 more hostages who lost their lives in captivity, but it's also come out and stated that it requires sophisticated tools to bring out the other bodies that are in tunnels or beneath rubbles, and therefore it's trying to buy some time to do that. We've seen a statement from Donald Trump as well, who's provided the same rationale, requesting Israel to not escalate amid warnings put out by Israeli Defense Minister Katz. Do you think the United States and the Trump administration will be able to convince the Israeli administration to exercise a little more patience?
Patience is one thing, and not to fulfill the agreement is another thing. Hamas has showed all the way that they cannot be trusted 100%. And in this moment, there are two kinds of narratives. One narrative is from the Hamas side. We don't know where all the dead bodies are. It can be true, but not about all of them, because they have still 19. And if they would say, one or two or even three are under the rubble, and we have to look for the places, and we have estimations, maybe it's true. But they are not saying this. They say suddenly that they don't know what happened with 19 of the bodies. So they were lying all the time. So this is part of the answers that you listen from Trump or from the Israeli side. Anyway, nobody wants to broke everything now and to finish with the agreement. So let's see what's happened. I think some kind of intermediate answer is going to be like, we know about this and this dead bodies, and we will give permissions to an independent commission of international members that they are going to come and help us to recover the others, or something like this. Anyway, they are just trying to give to themselves more and more time to keep the power in the Gaza Strip, when they know that the second phase is going to take all the power from them in a good way or in a violent way, either one of them.
All right, with that, I would like to thank you, Mr. Zweig, for taking our time and speaking to us on NewsX World. Shifting focus to more developments coming in, this time from Peru. Clashes at youth-led protests in Peru have left one man dead and more than 100 people injured. The clashes broke out near the Congress headquarters in Peru's Lima during an anti-government protest, leaving multiple police officers injured. Peruvian President Jose Heri has condemned the death of the 32-year-old citizen Eduardo Ruiz Sanz. Heri's ascension has failed to stamp out angry protests against the country's political class. Youth-led demonstrations brought thousands of Peruvians to the streets in Lima and several other cities, frustrated by the authorities' failure to resolve a worsening crime crisis. Peru has been rocked by protests for weeks, and lawmakers have voted to impeach then-President Dina Boluarte, aimed by critics for the crisis.